Today is Tuesday, May 23rd, 2017, and today we must talk about the very unfortunate situation that happened outside of an Ariana Grande concert in Manchester, UK. Now, before I get into what happened, before I get into how it happened, the crazy reaction I've seen on social media from it, and also on some of the news channels, domestic and abroad, what I want to do is tell you who Ariana Grande is. Now, it's important I tell you who she is because it makes a lot of sense as to how I'm going to progress with the story and also who the victims of the tragedy were. Now, Ariana Grande is a young singer, about 22, 23 years old, right around that, young lady. And she attracts a lot of very young girls that are younger than her, like a teeny bopper crowd, like 8 to 15, right around that age, maybe even younger. So those are the people that were involved with this tragedy. Now, as you were able to see in the video before I started speaking, there was an explosion and then there was panic. Now, I'm going to explain what happened. It was a person that was outside of the venue in the foyer area where people are coming out to go back to their cars, the bus, train, cab, or whatever. And that person was a 22-year-old by the name of Salman Abedi. Now, the news has said that they don't know his country of origin. They don't know his religion. But you could pretty much put two and two together by looking at what he did and also his name. But I digress. What he did was suicide bomb himself. He had a backpack or some kind of bag with a pipe bomb with nails in it. And that's very important to understand because not only was it a big explosion that would kill people because of the blast radius, but also the shrapnel would injure you even if you weren't necessarily at the epicenter of the blast. That's why so many people have been injured by the blast that did not die. You see, so the purpose was to get in the center of a large crowd of people that were exiting and kill as many as possible. Now, ISIS has said that this person is a soldier, but I'm seeing conflicting reports. Some say that they claim responsibility. Some say that they didn't. Either way, this is obviously a terror attack. You can't say it's not. It's just pretty much cut and dry what it is. This is pretty much what UK has been reduced to, unfortunately, constant terror attacks. And I think that's part of the reason why they have exited the European Union, because the European Union, they got the Schengen zone and all kind of other things that pretty much force you to take so-called refugees. That's part of the reason why they left. But unfortunately, you're still having issues. Now, one of the craziest reactions I've seen is from this lady. I think she's in Manchester, maybe London. I'm not really sure where she is, but she was talking to MSNBC and she said this.
Europe is getting used to attacks like this, Mika. We have to, because we are never going to be able to totally wipe this out. As ISIS gets squeezed in Syria and Iraq, we're going to see more of these kinds of attacks taking place in Europe, and Europe is starting to get used to that.
Which is really crazy. I mean, why must you get used to it? Why do you have to get used to it? No, you don't have to get used to it. You can eradicate these problems. You don't have to get used to anything. And the crazy part about this is that this person has allegedly been known by the police in the UK. So, I mean, how did they know him? Did he do a prior attack? Was he involved with some kind of terror plot? Why was he not in jail? You see, you can do things to prevent this because obviously this guy was already on the radar. Now, I'm not really sure if he was foreign born, if he was born in UK or whatever, but if he was foreign born, he definitely should have been deported, because if he's suspected of any kind of terrorism and you got really credible evidence on him, then why keep him around the country? Why keep him in the country so he's able to go out and carry out more heinous crimes? It doesn't make much sense. Now, on CNN, they said this is the most deadly attack since 2005 in London. But what they didn't say was that it was another attack that just happened 2 months ago. This is becoming all too common. You don't have to get used to it. You need to eradicate it. And that's part of the reason why, like I said, they left the European Union, because they don't want things like this to happen anymore. At the end of the day, this is a very unfortunate situation. I say rest in peace to all those that died. Hopefully people that are injured are able to get well soon. But this is a lot of what we talk about over here in the States and also across the pond. A lot of people in UK get in trouble for this. They get accused of racism, because this has been going on in the UK for a long time, also in Europe for a long time, also over here in the States for an extended period of time, not to the extent of Europe. But we have our own problems with terrorism. To say that we want to eradicate Islamic terrorism is not racist. I've seen people say that on social media. They say, oh, don't devolve into bigotry. This is not about religion. Of course it's about religion. I mean, if you got ISIS saying that this person was a soldier, if you got this person carrying out attacks that have been routinely done by Islamic terrorists, how is it not about religion, right? ISIS literally stands for the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. So how is it not about religion? It does not make any sense. It's not being a bigot. It's not being racist. It's not being a xenophobe. It's not being an Islamophobe. It ain't being no Oberker is. None of that. It's just about common basic sense. And common basic sense says you cannot have this kind of ideology permeate your society because this is going to be the results. If they want to have that kind of ideology in their part of the world, then so be it. I am not an interventionist. I don't think we should be in Syria, but that's not an excuse to allow open borders to your country and allow everybody in. It's also not an excuse to have somebody that was already there that had been known to the police to continue to be there without any kind of restrictions on them. Like the person was saying, oh, well, because what we're doing in Syria, what does that got to do with somebody that was already in UK? Somebody that probably was born in UK. What does that got to do with him? Right? What does that got to do with somebody that's already known to the police? It has nothing to do with it. Zero. So interventionism and trying to prevent domestic terrorism is two different things. And that's just period point blank what it is. Now, Ariana Grande has canceled the rest of her European tour because she was scheduled to go to a bunch of different places in Europe. I think London might have been next on a ticket after Manchester. And by the way, Manchester is not necessarily close to London. Manchester is close to Liverpool, and it's like to the south of Scotland. It's closer to Scotland than it is to London. So that's pretty much that. But London was her next stop. But she has canceled all of her European dates because, number one, I mean, you don't want her to be on the road frazzled like that after a terror attack. You know, my heart goes out to her and everybody else that was there, supporting acts, the staff, everybody. And of course, people that actually died and people that were injured. But you don't want her to be on the road frazzled after that and not really being able to perform. And beyond that, you don't know if this person was part of a larger group. They say he was a lone wolf, but how do you really know? So there could have been other attacks planned. If like let's say, for example, she goes out to London and performs, and then after that show, it's another attack. Then they would say, well, she should have just not performed anymore. It should have been a heightened security alert, this, that, and the third. So I think it's a good thing for her to cancel all of her dates. But it's unfortunate for Europe to have to be living under these kind of conditions. I think at the end of the day, Europe needs to kind of come together, especially the Western European countries that allow the influx of Islamic immigration to come in, especially Germany being the #1 offender. They need to just find a way to get beyond the Islamic terrorism that has invaded their country. But that's pretty much all I got to say about it. Again, rest in peace to all those that have passed away and all those that are injured. Please get well soon. And do not be afraid to live in your own country. Do not be afraid to speak up against Islamic terrorism. Don't be afraid to do it. You are a victim. You don't owe anybody anything. Don't let anybody tell you because you are against Islamic terrorism in your country that you're a racist or you're a xenophobe or Islamophobe. Has nothing to do with it. You just want to live in a safe country just like everybody on planet Earth. But that's pretty much all I got to say about it. What do you think? Do you think this could have been prevented because this person, Salman Abedi, a 22-year-old who had been known to the police in UK, do you think if that person would have been deported or if they were born in UK, put under tighter supervision or something, that this could have been avoided? You have a pipe bomb with nails in it on a suicide bomber right outside of a concert. And my question is, how did he get into the actual venue? They said it was outside, but I'm not really sure what outside really means, because is it like some stairs that go down? Because I do have video of people leaving down some stairs, and I'm not quite sure if these stairs are where the actual bombing happened, like at the foot of the stairs, or was it up further? Because what it could be is like some doors that lead outside in the foyer area where people were able to come in. But if you're inside of that foyer area, maybe you should go through a metal detector or something like that. I don't really know the ins and outs and the architecture of the place, but I'm thinking maybe that could have been avoided from a lot of different ways. But maybe you're in Manchester. Maybe you know more about that area than I do in that particular building. If you do, please let me know in the comments below if it could have been avoided, if it could have been prevented. Do you think I'm an Islamophobe because I'm saying that Islamic terror is a problem? Now, if that's your assertion, please let me know why you say I'm an Islamophobe. I really don't understand. Being an Islamophobe has nothing to do with it. It's just a simple pattern that happens all the time. We just had a situation happen in London just 2 months ago, and you having consistent terror attacks happen all over Europe. Sweden, you had riots. In Rinkeby, you had stuff in Germany all the time. You got all kind of stuff that happens all over Europe, especially in the more westernized, more developed countries in Europe. These are like becoming routine, and it all comes from the same kind of people with the same kind of ideology. It's not about race, because you don't need to be any particular race to be a Muslim. I mean, a lot of the Muslims that are in UK causing problems come from the Indian subcontinent, but you got Muslims that come from all over the world, the Middle East, Europe itself. You got a lot of people that become radicalized in UK, whether they're radicalized in their school, you know, just regular good boys and girls that become radicalized and sent off to Syria, or you got people that go to the penitentiary for a crime, whether it be severe or not severe, and then they become radicalized in prison. Do you know that 80% of all prison converts convert to Islam? Did you know that? That's going on as well. So let's not look at it from the lens of being racist or anything like that. Just use common sense to prevent any kind of tragedies from happening into the future, especially something like this where you got 8, 9, 10-year-old girls being killed for no reason other than someone else's obsession with their religion. But whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.